Great branding is all about trust, which means that when it comes to building a brand that people really believe in, broken promises just aren't an option. According to Amazon's Jeff Bezos, your brand is whatever people say about you when you're not in the room. So how do you ensure they're saying the right things? I caught up with entrepreneur BJ Cunningham to find out how to win the battle for hearts and minds, and why keeping your promises is key to building a successful brand in the internet age.
A brand is a promise. Well, if you don't trust the promise, then it's of no value. So trustworthy promises make credible brands, make powerful brands, make strong market positions. And people who own strong market positions win. People are willing to pay a premium for a promise they believe in. Think of Nike. The promise of Nike is winning. If there was a pair of trainers and exactly the same pair of trainers right next to them, same colors, exactly the same product, but one had a swoosh on it and one didn't, and one said Nike on it with the swoosh and one didn't, you would pay 80 quid for the pair with the swoosh and the Nike. You wouldn't pay a tenner for the pair without. That is the value of the promise of winning. Now, that's not just a logo, that's not a name. Nike have spent billions investing in that swoosh and that name, meaning winning. So I remember the first ad campaign they did was, you don't win silver, you lose gold. They then have spent, as I say, billions investing in the sports gods that we worship, whoever it might be, Wayne Rooney, whoever, you know, the gods. By owning all of that, we come to believe that Nike means winning. We get a bit of winning from that brand. And that's the power of marketing. That's the power of branding. That's the importance of transparency. The converse of that would be Body Shop. So Body Shop own a really important market position, which is caring and ethical business practice. So the reason you go into a Body Shop and you pay £2.65 for a bar of soap is because you believe in not experimenting on animals and not screwing the third world in terms of trading practice. If it transpires that a journalist discovers that, in fact, you are allegedly experimenting on animals and screwing the third world in terms of trade, it's a disaster. The business loses 30% of its share price overnight. Anita Roderick gets kicked off the board. They bring in ethical auditors. Auditors are bad enough. I mean, ethical auditors must be, you know, something else. And the reason they're doing all of that is because the only thing of value, of real value, is the brand. The brand Body Shop. If that fails to mean caring and ethical business practice, I will no longer have the propensity to pay £2.65 for a bar of soap at Body Shop. I'll go down to Boots and buy a bar of soap for 65p. That's branding, that's promises.
It raises an interesting question. Are trust and truth the same thing when it comes to building a successful brand?
Transparency and truth are not necessarily the same things. The truth is what we believe to be true. Doesn't mean it's true. So, as I said, the truth resides in faith. What we believe to be true is true until we lose that faith, until we lose that belief. And that is exactly the same for marketing. So why is transparency important? Because if you're not transparent, then people might not believe you anymore. So I haven't got a problem with lying, okay? It's just in business, lying is really expensive. And then you've got to keep covering the lie and covering the lie and covering the lie and putting it back in the closet and back in the closet and back in the closet. And eventually that lie will come out because there are journalists, that we live in an open society where with the internet and the freedom of information, and these lies will be discovered. In fact, now it's our duty to discover them. So transparency is important in order to build the credibility of the promise behind the business, which is the key value driver and the only reason why shareholders get rich and people are willing to buy that product. That's why transparency is important in business, because it ties into promises.
And for Cunningham, being transparent is all about being true to your core values.
Transparency doesn't mean open your books to people. It just means, don't lie. Don't say you believe in, not experimenting on animals. If you are experimenting on animals, that's just mad. Choose the position that's appropriate for you. I worked with an insurance company for a long time, and they wanted to be seen as lovey, huggy people who wear socks and sandals and hug trees and always say yes and love their customers. In fact, they were the most cynical people on earth. They truly believed that every claim that was coming in was from a robber. And the two positions don't marry. But in fact, for an insurance company, I want them to be cynical. Because if they pay out on every claim, my premium's going to go up. So it's appropriate for an insurance company to be cynical. It would be inappropriate for a doctor to be cynical. Okay, it's always appropriate to be who you really are. That's what transparency is about. It's not about, it's like in life, you don't have to tell everyone all your problems all the time. It's good to be aware of your problems and to talk about them, and problems are beautiful things. It doesn't mean we have to talk about them all the time. That's not being transparent. Being transparent is being who we really are, saying, look, I have got a problem with this for these reasons, and I'd prefer it if you didn't, talk to me like that, or address me in that way, or do these things. It's about empathy. It's about compassion. It's about real human values. It's about being who you really are consistently in everything you do. That's transparency.
As you might expect from someone who believes in the value of transparency, Cunningham is also a big advocate of simplification. I asked him whether he feels too many companies overcomplicate their approach to business.
I think complexity is a real problem. I mean, put it this way, if a set of terms and conditions is more than a page long, there's a problem. Simplicity means telling it like it is, in as simple a way as possible, so that you don't need a PhD to have to understand it. I would encourage everybody to look at their terms and conditions. I would encourage everybody to look at their marketing speak. And if there's acronyms and weird jargon in there and shit people just don't understand, take it out. Either something means something or it doesn't. Either you're building towards something, you're either busy living or busy dying. I know that's an obvious thing to say, but that's true in marketing. Look at your work. If it's complicated, take it away. If your lawyers come back with a contract and you can't understand the contract, send it back until you can understand it. Simplicity, transparency, honesty, truth, all of these things point in one direction, which is a direction of clarity. And clarity can be summed up by the words, I can. If ever you hear in your organization, if ever I hear in my organization, I can't, I know there's fear. I can, that's permission, that's empowerment, that's clarity.
Of course, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So what are the first steps to achieving that simplicity in business?
I think it's about combing through a business and discovering areas where, if you don't get it, chances are no one else gets it. If you read something and you don't understand it, chances are no one else understands it. Look at Apple's packaging. It's white. There's an apple on it. It doesn't have a list of 50,000 things that it does or doesn't do. It doesn't need to. Consumers can drill down for information. I suggest offer a drill down. Offer the information, but just not in your face. I'm not interested in the product. I'm interested in the promise. In fact, I'm not even interested in the price point. The price points change. I can get it 50% off, 75% off, 25 quid, 100 quid. Talk to me about the promise. That's where I attribute value. Where there's complexity, there's an opportunity to bring simplicity.
For more fantastic interviews directly related to your business, be sure to explore Meet the Boss TV.